Well, hello and welcome. My name is Velma. You can connect with me at velmanolds.com. This is all about your leadership chat. What does that mean? You get to listen in on valuable insights from valuable leaders just like you. I want to encourage you to go ahead and subscribe so that you never miss another episode. And if this is of value to you, please share the nuggets that you're going to take away from all these great leaders. Hey, please give a big welcome to my special guest and your valuable leader, Ryan Gallik. Ryan, welcome to your leadership chat.
Thank you so much, Velma. It's great to be here with you.
Oh man, virtual hug to my brother on the other side. I love it, love it, love it. Hey, so I know Ryan, and I know a little bit about you, but for those that are listening in or watching in, can you share a little bit about what you do and who you are?
Yeah, so I had an early career as a firefighter paramedic. I did that for 20 years in Central Florida and had an honor to be able to serve my community. And the path to getting there was really complex and one that I didn't see, um, creating a path to where I am now.
Right.
It was an early childhood experience
Mm.
where, and not to bring some heaviness to the chat here, but I went through a school shooting where I directly witnessed my classmate get shot and killed. And so that was certainly, a traumatic experience at age 12. And so I decided to become a firefighter paramedic from that experience and really honor Joey
Yeah.
in a positive and taking that trauma and making something good out of it if there's something good to be found from that. And so that said, I had a great career, 20-year career, did an early retirement, had an opportunity to start a consulting company.
Sure.
And so now I'm the managing partner of the Mental Hygiene Project. We're an Orlando based organization that works with organizations to develop a ready and resilient workforce. And so we focus on leadership development and resilience, those two things. And so, with my lived experience with both personal trauma
Yeah.
and obviously occupational trauma, a topic that is very near and dear to my heart is one called trauma informed leadership. And it's really helping leaders understand, the pervasive force of trauma in the workforce today and
Hmm.
how it not only affects individuals,
Right.
but team dynamics.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I get to, now, utilize those lived experiences for a greater good to teach other leaders how to foster more, communication, emotional intelligence,
Hmm.
trust, and so many other things to really be that healthy leader. I know that you
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
valuable leader, but healthy leadership
Yeah.
refers to a leadership style that
Sure.
focuses on employee health and well-being. And so, yeah, now I'm a professional speaker, trainer, and business consultant.
I didn't know that about you and your journey, but I it makes full sense. And to see where you taken your career, but now you're on that side of saying, now how do I help people for whatever trauma? How do I help them lead well is something that I love to say. How do they lead well? Meaning
Mm,
wellness,
yes.
taking care of themselves, right? Being a healthy, productive individual, but also lead well to create workplace sense of belonging, where people feel, as I always people always know, I quote Oprah. I get all my research from Oprah, but where people feel
It's amazing.
seen, heard, and valued. It's and you do that when you learn to lead well. Yeah.
Yeah, it also goes beyond that. It's about developing individual resilience within teams because until my mentor Dwight Bain says until you know someone's backstory you don't know their full story, and that's
Whoa.
so true, right? And
Wow.
so people, until they find out my backstory, you don't really know everything about me, just like I don't know everything about another individual.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, to me, I was like, drop the mic. You don't know someone's backstory.
Yeah, until you know someone's
You don't know
backstory.
someone's full story until you know their backstory.
That's right. Isn't that profound?
You're exactly right. You really don't know someone until you have a bigger picture, and then you have a bigger appreciation. And I think that's where you do get to be able to make transformation, work with,
Yes.
moving people through the process, helping them along the journey versus feeding them a bunch of information. You literally, help create transformation. So. Oh, this is going to be a good conversation already. So Ryan, let me ask my first question. So you know that I shamefully promote my book, The Valuable Leader, and one of the things I love to do on this podcast is I love to be able to learn a little bit about the stories in someone else's life.
Mm.
So my first question is, tell us about who in Ryan's life is a valuable leader, and why would you say that about that person?
Well, the first person, because there's more than one.
Oh,
There's a professional speaker. I'm sure you know him, Simon T. Bailey, and
yes,
I
yes.
Simon T. Bailey first speak at the Florida Fire Chiefs
Right,
conference in Daytona Beach years ago,
right.
and he was talking to a large group of firefighters. And so he had mentioned that you need a personal board of directors, right? You
Hmm.
have a mentor, but do you have a
Right,
personal board of directors? So really more than one mentor. And so
right.
the first one is Chief William Sturgeon. And
Okay.
Bill is someone that has been in my life since 2004. Yeah,
Hmm.
2004. And he hired me into the fire service. He was
Right,
my first assistant chief at the city of
right.
Tavares. And I was a young man that didn't quite really fully understand how good I had it. And I made a mistake. And, basically, a probationary firefighter, that first year, you
Right.
can let go for just about anything. And I had made a mistake that could have been a fireable offense.
Yeah.
And and I think it's important to foster vulnerability. So I
Right.
share so much about me and my stories and lived experiences. So anyhow, Chief Sturgeon called me into the office and we had a really long conversation. And here's a man that saved my career. He
Wow.
saved my career. And today, I mean, we are still very, very close. He's my mentor. He's someone I look up to. We talk
Right.
nearly every single day.
Wow.
And so he hired me into the fire service. I ended up becoming a paramedic because the fire service is what's called a fire-based EMS service, right?
Mhm. Right.
Where or EMS-based fire service, where
Right.
emergency medical services are now going into the fire department.
Hmm.
So it was a BLS department. So me being a paramedic there wasn't possible. So I left and I got hired on with the city of St. Cloud.
Right.
Well, at the time, St. Cloud was going through a lot of transitions and it was turbulent. It was a turbulent time there for a lot of us firefighters. Well, the fire assistant fire chief ended up stepping down, and there was a position open for an
Right.
assistant chief.
Right.
Sturgeon ended up getting the job.
Okay.
Yeah, so now he's my chief again.
Yes.
Well, after several months, the fire chief steps down and Bill becomes the fire chief and
Yeah.
completely transforms the organization.
Sure.
Immediately took the organizational chart and did a 180 with it. So rather than the fire chief being on the top and the firefighter EMT being at the bottom,
Hmm.
it's the firefighters at the top and the fire chief at the bottom.
Sure.
But
Wow.
his word deed integrity,
Hmm.
when he speaks, his actions align with every word that he speaks.
Wow.
And he really fosters healthy relationships and trust and he's emotional intelligence and he's just an amazing person. He actually just became the bureau chief of fire standards and training for the state of Florida in late July. So Bill is definitely a valuable leader who has made a profound impact on my life, but
Hmm.
not just my life, literally so many people's lives.
Sure.
And he's taught me how to really create organizational change. I've gotten to witness that.
Yeah.
Another person, Dwight Bain, who I quoted just a little bit ago.
Sure.
Uh, while I rely so heavily on Chief Sturgeon, now from the mental health perspective and psychological and organizational psychology perspective, it's Dwight Bain too. Dwight Bain is really this person who sends me inspirational quotes almost every single
Wow.
day,
My,
almost every single day. And
encourage you. Yeah.
I met him years ago at the Florida State Fire College. And I said, I'm working with a client. We've got to bring you in. And my client ended up hiring him. And so we've become really good friends. He's my mentor.
Oh,
And so,
wow.
those are two people in my life that have truly made a profound impact
Right.
because of the way that they lead themselves,
Hmm.
but also because of the way that they lead others.
Yeah.
I mean, they have integrity,
Mm.
they have values,
Hmm.
they have word deed integrity.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just, when you see them and listen to them, you say, that's the leader I hope to be one day.
Wow. Wow. Drop the mic on that. Oh my goodness. Well, I what I find very interesting is those leaders are still impacting Ryan. They're not, they were there, and you said, yeah, yeah, it's where you are today, and then you're getting notes and encouragement constantly, part of the board of directors for you, right? In your development, they're still making an impact. That's huge. Usually we remember someone from days gone by, but you're blessed. You got them right here in the present.
Yeah. And I make sure that I honor them,
Yeah.
right? By
Yeah.
doing the things that they've taught me and I mean, each of them have invested in me.
Yeah.
And so I never miss an opportunity to acknowledge them.
Wow. And you're
That's
doing it right
so
now.
important. Well, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. And I love the fact that their whole focus is on helping you rise up. Taking an organizational chart and doing a 180 and flipping that, and then and that visual, I could see that visual where all of a sudden it's a true example of what leadership is about. It's about helping others rise to the top, not standing on their shoulders, but being the shoulders for someone to stand on.
Yeah, I learned about psychological safety through Chief Sturgeon. He said, okay, well, we perform these mission critical tasks and we
Right,
need to do after action reviews. The Blue Angels, Navy Blue Angels, after every flight, they do an after action review. Let's see what we did right. Let's
right.
look potentially went wrong and what were the lessons learned from that. So what
Mm,
we're going to do is we're going to create a safe space within the
mm,
training room and we're going to develop a blue line. It's a piece of blue tape. When you cross that line, every individual loses rank.
ooh,
And it gives you an opportunity to be vulnerable, to
right.
call a safety out on yourself. And there's never a punitive action from anything that you share in there. And
Mhm.
so that was a way that chief and later his executive team and the other chief officers later ended up building trust and
Mhm.
psychological safety was really allowing us to take that interpersonal risk taking,
Mhm.
right? Because there was established trust that this works and
Yeah.
it transformed the organization.
Wow. Wow. I love that. The blue line. Woo.
Blue line. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
You
said
just drop.
here stays here.
Yeah.
And you can share it
Yeah.
to teach someone else.
Yeah. That in of itself is profound because people need to know that, people need to know that they can trust, have those types of, they have a safe environment. They can be, they can trust those in that environment to have those kinds of conversations. And I think that is becoming more and more evident now in our world, in the workforce, than it's ever have. It's usually like suppress all these emotions. We don't want to know, bring, the robot to work. And that's not the way the world works. It's human beings.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. So, all
Especially in
right. Hmm.
multi-generational workforce. We have
Yeah.
such a wide span of individuals with
Yes.
different generations of different ways of thinking, acting, reacting, and
Right.
it's a complex workforce today.
Oh yeah, more so than ever.
Absolutely.
Which is exciting though, right? Because it brings more, I think, creativity. It brings more individuality, brings more innovation. Yeah, and it just takes. Uh, I love the variety because, and you know that about myself, right? Being born in the Bahamas when the Bahamas was under the British ruling, right? And then we became independent as a country, and then coming to the United States and learning that you guys drive on the right-hand side of the road and we drive on the left, right? We don't drive on the wrong side, Ryan. We drive on the left. You know, and then becoming a U.S. citizen, it's amazing to me for that variety that you see and just learning about people. So I love the concept of the blue line that you could cross over and there's no positions, there's no titles, there's you and there's me,
That's
and
right.
we're gonna have an open conversation so that we could together go forward. You know, we could together help each other to rise up. So
So much vulnerability in that
yeah.
room.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. Wow. And you know what? That takes a very secure person, secure leader to be able to do something like that.
Yeah, he's a transformational leader, that's for sure.
Oh
That's where I
yeah, yeah, yeah,
transformational
for
leadership.
sure.
I
Yeah.
learned a lot from Chief Sturgeon, a lot from Dwight too. They're
Yeah.
two incredible people, and they're both a gift to this world.
Wow. Wow. Well, and you've had the pleasure of being able to unwrap that, and it's made a lasting impact in your life. And so I want to challenge you then to this question because you know you've not had one, you've had two, probably more than that if we had the time, but two key individuals that we talked about that are foundational to you and your growth as, I would say, a valuable leader. And so how does Ryan pay it forward? Like how are you impacting the lives of other people so they could see the valuable leader in them? Tell us how you do that.
Yeah, well, I'll start. I don't want to sit here and pitch my business. That's the last thing I want to do. So I want to start with
Don't worry, we won't let you.
with philanthropy. And so one of my clients is the director for RILA. It's part of Rotary, and RILA is the Rotary Youth Leadership Academy. And for
Mm,
all of the international exchange students throughout Central Florida, they
right.
go to the Florida Elks Lodge, and it's a 3-day event where they camp there and have retreats and different types of things going on. And so I volunteer for RILA, Rotary Youth Leadership Academy,
Right.
to be able to work with those high school international exchange students
Wow.
and share things. And so my business partner Michael, he's gone and does Myers Briggs with them, and
Yeah.
so that's one way to for me to give back. But
Right.
also, I enjoy writing and creating content, and
Yeah.
so I had initially published a book called Silent Mayday: The Clinician's Guide to Working with First Responders,
Hmm.
helping licensed mental health counselors understand how to work with first responders.
Right. Right.
Developing a product, our healthy leadership strategy cards, and taking concepts like trauma informed leadership and putting the facts, evidence-based facts on one side, and on the other side questions for engagement, psychological safety and trust. So developing products, and then certainly the programs that
Yeah.
I provide through my business, being able to help individuals and teams become trauma informed leaders
Yeah.
so they can ultimately create a trauma informed organization.
Mm.
So, what do I do? I think it's important to have a philanthropy mindset and
Yeah.
to give back within my communities. Certainly, I have friends or colleagues and networks that I meet, and people know that they can call me at any time
Yeah.
and I'll share 30, 45 minutes with them
Yeah.
and kind of let them pick my brain. But that's just one way that I give back, is that I know the value that we bring and
Yeah.
the impact that we can create within organizations to have belonging and longevity within individuals in their workplace,
Yeah.
it has a lot of meaning to me.
Oh man. Oh, and you are not selling that short, because the greatest gift you could give someone is your time. You can't get it back. And so just like you say, 45 minutes on the call, and I know I've called you and, and picked your brain. But just to be able to have that opportunity to lean into someone else and learn from them, to me, that is one of the greatest things you could do as a leader, to demonstrate true value. I value you as a person and your time, and I'm willing to invest my time in you. So I love that. And I love the fact that you're focused also on the youth, as a volunteer, to be able to rise up the new generation, setting in some foundational principles about how to transform, the workplace, knowing that we all have some type of trauma, whatever that is, and however the degree is, we've all experienced something that's been heavy to have to carry, that heavy load, if you will. You don't, know someone's full story until you know their backstory. That whole point, I can't get that out of my head. What a great quote.
Isn't it profound? You sit here and as a leader, you may
Mhm.
think, why is this person acting this
You're
way?
right.
Yet the trauma-informed leader
Yeah.
wants to spark healthy curiosity. I mean, you still have to create accountability. You still
Right.
need business results,
Right.
but fostering that empathy and that trust, maybe you can get down to a root cause
Yeah.
and figure some things out. Not to be a
Mhm.
counselor,
Right.
but to
Right.
be able to help an individual gather some psychological capital and some
Mm.
resilience,
Resilience. Yeah.
foster, more regulation versus dysregulation,
Yeah.
because, some of these people are talented people.
Yeah. Yeah, I always say, Ryan, it took me a while to figure this out, because I wasn't like that when I first started in my career journey. But we think we're hiring someone for a position, and you really are not just hiring a person for the position, for that title. You're hiring everything they come with. They come with all of the experience, education, but also just their life. And you've got to realize that today more than ever, there is no such thing as this work-life balance. There's this work-life integration. And so having that sensitivity to the fact that someone's whole self is coming. It's not just, we just hired the paramedic. It's that person's whole self. It's not just we hired that marketing director. You got to remove those position titles and kind of go under the cover, get under the skin, if you will, because there's a person there.
There's a person there.
Yeah.
There's a person there.
Yeah, and I think
There,
we're humanizing it more now than ever, in the
sure.
workforce. And of course, it takes something, as it was leading up to this, but of course, the traumatic experience that the world was faced with COVID-19, that pandemic, but it was leading there anyway. That just accelerated it for us, in my opinion.
Yeah. And one thing that we have to learn as leaders, right, is that biography
Hmm.
becomes biology.
Whoa.
Okay. So someone's story, whatever their story is, right? I have a story, you have a story. It can become our biology, our nervous system.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, it's not that you haven't dropped a bunch of bombs, but my next question is around what's one big takeaway that Ryan would want to give those listeners on how they can become the valuable leader that they are in their own lives? What would that big message, big takeaway be, Ryan?
Oh, I mean, how do you just limit it to one? I
I'm
mean,
just going to twist your
there's
arm.
there's so many. I'm going to give you two if you don't mind.
You
There's
can't
there's
count.
there's there's. I think it's important, no matter what you do in life,
Yeah.
you have to have purpose and meaning.
Hmm.
Understand your why. I know, there's some people with a motive and an intent. Know your purpose and your meaning.
Right.
And with that, kind of expanding, what are your values that sit as a foundational tool for you?
Mm-hmm.
What are the non-negotiables? So really having a value. I mean, whether you're a formal leader or an
Right.
informal leader,
Right.
you have to have those two things. Have
Right.
purpose and meaning in what you do
Mm.
and have values.
Right.
Know what the non-negotiables are. And what I mean by that is I feel like a lot of people are always in the pursuit. A lot of us don't know what happiness is. We think happiness is going to be based on my position, my title, right?
Mm-hmm.
People think that happiness is going to be finances and financial stability.
Right.
That happiness is subjective well-being, right? It can be different for everybody.
Sure.
Yet we really have to understand the difference between real wanting and miswanting and knowing our values, and what our ultimate purpose in life
Mm-hmm.
is so important. I didn't always have that, right? I mean,
Right.
at one point I lost my sense of purpose and meaning,
Right.
and it's down this slippery slope and a mental health crisis.
Right.
So yeah, yeah. Purpose and meaning and values.
Mm. Yeah. You got to go to the core of it. I love that. What's your non-negotiable? What's the
Right.
non-negotiables in your life? The things that ground you, who you are, that it doesn't matter what storms come, it's who you are, and that's what you're anchored to, if you will. I love how you said that. You said real wanting and miswanting. Is that how you said that?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in psychology, real wanting are things that are accorded to your values, your
Mm-hmm.
desires, and your beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Miswanting is when we potentially or have miswanted because they were things that didn't necessarily align with
Mm-hmm.
our values and the
Mm-hmm.
things that bring us true purpose and meaning in life. Let me give you
Mm-hmm.
a couple examples. We may say, oh, well, we want this leadership position, or
Right.
we want this relationship, and we get it, and there's a spike in our happiness baseline.
Right.
Yet we actually miswanted. Maybe it's a toxic organization. Maybe it's not exactly what we thought of, or maybe,
Right.
we went for this job because it was more money,
Right.
right? To later discover, no, I really miswanted. I'll give
Mm.
you an example. I have a client, and it's a longtime client of mine, and they said, you've been a consultant with us for years. We really appreciate you. We really love the services that you provide us.
Right.
We are going to create a position. You're welcome to apply for it and interview for it. And I declined the entire time. I
Yeah.
declined. And the reason is because I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I'm not above working for someone else.
Right.
Certainly not. But for me, I have created this business and this scope of wanting to create trauma-informed organizations.
Mm-hmm.
And by taking that role
Yeah.
within one organization,
Yeah.
it would limit my impact.
Mm.
So I was willing to walk away from a lot of money, a lot
Yeah.
of money.
Yeah.
And I said no the whole way through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Because you
luckily,
yeah.
yeah, sorry to interrupt you.
No,
Luckily,
no. Good.
um, they just renewed my contract, even though they actually hired someone.
Right.
They renewed my contract. I did not want to miss one.
Yeah.
I my purposes. I know what my purpose and meaning and what my values are. And
Yeah.
I stood confident in that decision.
Mm-hmm.
It's created a win-win.
Ah, I
It's a
love that.
non-negotiable for me.
Yeah.
So wanting versus miswanting.
Yeah. What a great takeaway.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. No,
I wish
serious,
I had learned
because
that earlier.
we get caught up in we get caught up in all sorts of things that become distractions, and we think that's what we want. And then we get there, but I've never heard it termed miswants. Your real wanting and your miswanting. I just never heard miswants, something that you thought you wanted, but yeah, you get it and you're like, not really.
Right, right. It could be a new car. It could be the newest cell phone. Oh, I'm
Right,
stuck with the payment now. The
right.
newness is worn off, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, what a great big
Practice
takeaway.
more real wanting.
Yeah, yeah, to really know your purpose and meaning, and then have a clear understanding and acceptance, more than anything, acceptance of those non-negotiables, those values in your life that are foundational to who you are. I think you're such a big takeaway, because that's how you know, that's how you're in a position to be able to make decisions like you did, a tough decision like that. It's because you were very well grounded in, I know my meaning, I know my purpose now, right? This is what I'm here to do. And these are the things that I believe in. These are my values. So great decision by your client to renew.
Thank you so much.
Excellent,
They're
excellent.
wonderful. They have made a great impact on my life, and luckily I've been able to make an
Mutual.
impact in their organization. But it's
Sure.
certainly
Yeah, it sounds like it's very mutual too. So Ryan, tell us, last question, tell folks, how can they learn more about you, and how can they follow you or learn more about the business and what you are doing with your mission now today?
yeah. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Ryan Ryan, S for Scott,
Mhm.
last name Gallik, Gallik.
Right.
Sometime later this year, maybe at the beginning of the year, we're going to be launching a YouTube channel, Healthy
Okay.
Leadership. So
Great.
that's something really exciting to look forward to. And so primarily you can find me on LinkedIn.
Okay. All right. Well, great. We'll make sure that we have your LinkedIn here in the show notes, so folks can click in to get in touch, follow you, see a little bit more about you. You've got so many things in the works. I mean, beside the book that you talked about, but I know you have some other great tools that folks can learn about that truly help them become, I create environments that are safe, where people feel like they belong and that they want to be in. I love that transformational work that you're doing now. So I'm so excited to have you share that with us today.
That was a pleasure. Thank you so
Oh,
much for having me. I hope that the listeners have been inspired and that they're taking a few takeaways, whether that's, Dwight's phrase of until you know someone's backstory, you don't know their full story, and
right.
real wanting versus
Oh,
miswanting. And,
I love
those
the
are
blue line. I mean,
really
I wrote down
the blue
notes.
line, yeah. So I hope that those are some things that can spark some healthy curiosity within individuals and team. And I wish all of your listeners the very best on their leadership journey.
Hey, thanks so much, Ryan. I appreciate you. Hey, thanks so much for watching another episode of Your Leadership Chat. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button here and tap that bell icon so that you never miss another episode. I hope too that you'll give us a thumbs up on the video for a like. And then if you feel led, please share the video with those who need to see it. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Your Leadership Chat. Bye for now.